What's going on, guys? My name is Austin. This is the Bodies in Business podcast, and it is day 16 of the 25 Days of Fly Bodies. And today we're going to talk about actionable goals, right? Everybody has these big, grandiose goals that they want to set for themselves at the beginning of the year. And then all of a sudden it kind of fades away after a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, and then it just falls off a cliff after that. So I want to talk about actionable goals because that is something we can actually put on the calendar and actually check off our checklist, okay? So what is an actionable? I like to read this verbatim, so here we go. Actionable goals are goals that are broken down into specific, clear, and doable actions. Things you can actually do on a daily or weekly basis, rather than vague outcomes you can hope to achieve. So the reason why this is important is because a lot of people say stuff like, I want to lose 20 pounds this year or something like that. And that's not a bad goal to have. But an actionable goal is I want to walk for 20 minutes after lunch for 5 days this week, right? So one is I want something and I hope it happens. The other one is I can put it on my calendar and I can say, okay, after lunch today, I'm going to go for a 20-minute walk. Now, that's what you really want to put in place when we talk about goals. Because one, you can really check off and you can see over time if it's actually helping you. And the other one is kind of just off in the distance of, am I getting closer to that goal? And both are important because you want to set big goals for yourself every now and then. Like, I want Fly Bodies to be a giant company one day, but what does that mean? How can I make it a giant company? I have to break it down into these small actionable steps. Okay, so why actionable goals work better than especially big goals? Okay, they reduce the overwhelming factor. Big goals can feel intimidating and mentally heavy. Actionable goals shrink the task into manageable pieces so your brain doesn't hit the this is too much panic button, which makes sense. If at the beginning of the year you're like, let's make it even bigger. I want to lose 50 pounds this week. That's a big amount of weight to lose and keep off. But if you say, I want to do a 30-minute HIIT workout 3 times this week, and then you put the 3 days on your weekly calendar, which days you're going to do that, that is more manageable. The 50 pounds will happen eventually if you stick to a good regimen. But you have to get these little actionable goals. Number 2, they focus on process, not just outcomes. You can't directly control outcomes like you losing 20 pounds or doubling revenue, like I just said. But you can control actions. You can't control losing weight all the time because there's so many factors. There's the time of the month for people that are women, you hold more water than you usually do. For men, sometimes weight fluctuates just because you eat more one weekend than you did the other weekend. But that doesn't mean you're just completely losing yourself and not reaching your goal. And so when we break this down, and you guys get what I'm saying. So the one thing I'll say is when you make these actionable goals, you need to adapt as you get feedback from these actionable goals, right? If you say I'm going to walk for 20 minutes after lunch for 5 days a week, and you do that and it fits into your schedule and you find yourself maybe not losing weight over a couple of weeks, maybe a month or 2 months, then maybe we need to up the amount of walking you're doing, right? Don't just say, I'm completely throwing away everything I've done up until this point. No, to adapt as you get feedback from the things that you're doing. So number 3, why actionable goals are so important. They create momentum and confidence. Each completed action is a small win. And small wins compound. Action equals success. Success equals confidence. Confidence equals consistency. All right, number 4, they align with how habits actually form. Habits are formed from repetition, not motivation. Actionable goals are time-based, location-based, and behavior-based. Number 5, they give your brain fast feedback. The brain craves completion, okay? 10-minute walk, glass of water, 5 push-ups. Like, we want to be able to do a check mark on the things that we're doing. I write down things in my planner from a business standpoint when I do them because I want to be like, at the end of the day, I completed this thing. And the same thing goes with like working out. That's why in our FlyFit app, we have a completed button or a toggle because we want people to feel like, okay, I know how much working out I'm doing. I know how many steps I'm doing, and I can look back to see exactly what I've done in order to get closer to my goal. All right. So I'm going to leave you with this, the simple framework. This is what you need to ask yourself. Can I schedule it on my calendar and complete it today or this week? And if you ask yourself that question when it comes to health and wellness, when it comes to working out, eating healthy, getting good sleep, then you're going to give yourself a much better opportunity to start down the path of reaching your goal. Okay. Big goals set the direction, actionable goals create the movement. Okay. Remember that. You can say, I want to lose 50 pounds this year, but you need to come up with, I would say, daily and weekly actionable goals that you can check off and you can really get feedback quickly on if it's working for you. And if it, working for you as in helping you lose the weight, but also fits your schedule and then also fits into your social life. Sometimes we basically turn our lives upside down and then it's very tough to start to keep hanging out with some of the friends that we want to hang out with or be with family when we want to be with family. Whereas you want to do this incrementally and not feel like it's for some people it can be. For some people, you may need like a dramatic shift in the way your life is in order to make this work. But I'm not always saying that is the case. But if you can just make little small actionable goals and check those off, you're putting yourself in a good place. Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about. Putting in doable, actionable steps to get stuff done. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Be like, I want to work out for, an hour a day, twice a day for 75 days in a row. Okay. I have nothing against that workout plan, the 75 hard stuff, but it doesn't seem very realistic for most people. And it's such a big goal to do when you're starting from probably zero that if anything gets in the way of you doing the 75 hard all the way to 75 days, most people kind of shut down and say, I didn't get to do it. This is not worth it. So when you're thinking about setting goals, set yourself a big goal and then start breaking it down into many little actions that you can do day in and day out on a weekly basis and check those things off so that you can start working towards your goal. And it was a very long-winded video for just actionable goals. Okay. That's all I got. Thanks for taking a listen today and get after it.